Hello and welcome to my Inside Sport channel. My name's Mark, and in this video I'm going to be previewing the Rugby Championship game this weekend from Pretoria in South Africa between the Australian Wallabies and the South African Springboks. Okay, so the Rugby Championship 2023 kicks off this weekend with two games. The All Blacks are playing Los Pumas in Argentina, and in this video we're going to be covering the Australian Wallabies game against the South African Springboks in Pretoria. So this is going to be the second game of the Rugby Championship this year, so we're already going to know the outcome of the All Blacks Argentina. It's going to be an exciting game in South Africa, that's for sure. There's a lot of dynamics going on around this game, and I want to talk about that in this video. So leading up to the weekend, there's been lots of hype about Eddie Jones being back in charge of the Australian team, and a lot of people thinking he's the magic source that's going to take Australia to the World Cup finals again. And that could well be the case, but I think he's got a lot of hurdles to overcome. And we're going to talk about some of those in this particular video. On the South African side, I think South Africa is going to come in with that fairly predictable game. I think they're going to have a very strategic kicking game, as well as using their dynamic backs when they can, and using that power up front that they've got to win a lot of ball. I've said in other videos that I think the more offense, more defense and discipline is going to be the keys to success in this Rugby Championship and the World Cup campaigns this year. And I think the top teams that are able to focus on those particular aspects of their game and get good rhythm and flows going are going to come out on top of the competition. So I think we're going to be watching out for discipline, in particular around the maul and breakdown situation, where teams are not getting penalised or players getting put into the sin bin, or worse, getting sent off. I think that's going to perhaps have a major impact on these two competitions that we're heading into. So looking at the Australian team, Eddie Jones has been talking a lot about how extensively powerful a lot of the players are in his team, and he's looking at utilising that power. He's also talked about taking the Australian team's ethos back to the good old days, where there's a lot of spontaneity in the Australian play, using the ball out wide and really high pace of the game. And I think we're going to see that from Australia this weekend if they can control some of the set pieces, and I think that's where they're going to struggle against South Africa. South Africa always turn up when it comes to set pieces. They're dynamic as well as powerful and strong, and they win a lot of ball typically against the Wallabies. So if that's the case, then I see South Africa being able to control the game a little bit more. But I think if Australia do get some breadcrumbs when it comes to the ball percentages of possession, then I think they are going to be able to unleash some power on the back of the South African team, and I think that could make a big difference in this game. But I do suspect that it's going to take Eddie Jones a couple of games to get these players into good combinations that are working for the Wallabies. Again, a little bit like I said in my video with the All Blacks against Argentina, I just think the continuity of the Springboks is going to be there right from the get-go. And I think that's probably going to give them the edge this weekend in Pretoria. So I'm predicting a South African victory this weekend. I think Near Neighbour's going to look at the combinations that he's using. Again, I haven't got the team sheets yet, so they're going to be announced in the next 24 hours. But I suspect that he's going to go with combinations that he's looking at for the World Cup, and maybe giving some of the fringe players an opportunity off the bench to come in and prove themselves. But I think all the teams this weekend are going to be looking at starting with some dominant positions and trying to win these games. I think that's going to be really important for momentum to continue for these teams. So I'm predicting a South African victory. I think they're going to get home by 33 points to 20. I think the Wallabies are going to have their chances in this game, and if they start well, the Wallabies, I think they can put some pressure on the South Africans. But I see the South Africans as being too big and too strong, and also too tactical for the Australians. And even though Eddie Jones has talked about having this spontaneity of play, wanting to open up the ball out wide, I think the South African structures and the way that they go about the tight pieces of play is going to be throttling the Wallabies a little bit and not allowing them to be able to play the game that they want. I think it's going to be a tight affair in the first 20 minutes. I think we're going to see a little bit of that normal first game jitters where teams are getting used to each other, getting used to the intensity of this high level test match rugby. But I think after that first 20 minutes, we're going to see the game settle down and we're going to see those patterns starting to be discovered. And those patterns for me are South Africa dominating the set pieces of play and using their strategic positions, whether it be the kicking game or whether it be the running game, to open up Australia and score points against them. So that's what I think is going to happen in Pretoria this weekend. It's going to be a really fascinating game to watch. It is game number 2 in the Rugby Championship. If you want to listen to all of my videos and watch all of my videos this year over the Rugby Championship preview and review videos, as well as the Rugby World Cup, the only way to do that is hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified every time that I drop a video, which will be straight after the games this year. So let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to happen in Pretoria? Tell me about the Eddie Jones factor. Do you think that he's going to come into this Australian Wallabies team and make an immediate difference, or do you think it's going to take him some time to gel this group of players together and to get the best out of them? He has got some superstars in this team, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether they actually click and find their combinations in the first match. Let me know how you think the South Africans are going to go. Do you think they're going to bring a different style of play? I mentioned in one of my other videos that I think that the 4 teams in the Rugby Championship this year bring different styles. I think we've got three teams playing a similar style or wanting to play a similar style. I see Australia, New Zealand and Argentina wanted to play a very high pace, spontaneity kind of game where they throw the ball around and they try and break the line a lot, whereas I see South Africa playing a more strategic game, using the kicking game in a lot more of an effective way. I think they're the best team in the competition for doing that. And I think that might be the difference somewhere along the Rugby Championship this year if they're able to execute that strategy within their game. So let me know in the comments what you think, who you think is going to come out on top this weekend. Are you going with my prediction? Do you think South Africa are going to win? Or do you think the Wallabies are going to get over top of South Africa in South Africa before we head into round number 2? So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to be back after each of the games this weekend to do a full review on what I thought about the matches and what were the lessons that we learnt, and we'll be able to head into round 2 from there. And remember to have a great weekend this weekend watching all the rugby online, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.